Hello, I'm back with another Christmas in July craft. And this one I've been working on since just after Christmas last year. I got the wrappers from the Christmas crackers at my niece's Christmas dinner last year. And I flattened them all out, took them apart, flattened them all out. And I thought I would make little booklets out of them. So you can reuse this little closure. Some of them, they're broken. So the ones that have a broken closure, I'll just make those into tags or something. It's too bad this one has both ends broken because that could actually be the top of the tag. I guess I could reinforce it and glue it. But anyway, I want to make some of these right now. So if I have time at the end, I'll make a little tag. But let's work on these. So I had some papers that were from the little mini notebooks that I have done on YouTube as well. These ones are waiting to be decorated. And so it's a similar idea, although I think I'm just going to put one little pad of paper in these ones. So it'll open up like this. And then I think I might even just sew these signatures in. Well, actually it won't be signatures because I'm going to use these papers. So it'll maybe still be the two holes at the top. I do like that method of binding. Now this has a little bit of tear on this side. Do I have one that doesn't? No, they all pretty much have that. Something was glued to the paper there. So what I'll do for that is I could glue another piece of paper in there. Just what would I want it to be? I mean, I could coffee dye cover the whole thing with coffee dye, but I like this paper on the inside. It's kind of a little bit more gray than the craft paper color. See that? A little bit more gray. I'll have to find some, maybe what I could do is just use an extra piece of one of these other ones that's torn and just put it on the inside as well, just past the tear, or I could actually do this. Nope, that's upside down, so I can't do that. But I could put just another piece of this and recut that slit, just so that that is reinforced. That's a good idea. So I'll take this and let me just measure what I need to cut here. If I want it to come to there, it's about 7 centimeters. So I will cut the end off square. And then I'll cut it at 7 centimeters. And I won't cut another one because I could fold the next one differently next time. I'm not very precise about that. I just kind of eyeballed it, and that's all torn, so I'm going to toss that. And this I am going to round the corners just to give it a little finishing touch. Let's see how that will work there. And actually maybe I will just downsize it a touch just so that those rounded corners make a little more sense. And then you'll see that gray around the edges, if you know what I mean. Do that from one side. And just a little off the top too. Glue that on. You can see I'm still on the same page of my gluing book as I did the tags because it's the same day. After this one I might go have another coffee and think up my next project. I didn't plan this very far in advance. Next year I will. I've been doing YouTube since April, and it just sort of dawned on me, oh yeah, Christmas in July. I got to do Christmas projects. And as I mentioned in the tag video, you'll see that I'm using a blue background paper before I use the green and red one, because that's my vibe for Christmas, is blue, aqua, pink, purple, silver, rose gold. It's kind of what I do for my decor. And I'm going to cut this right on the same book here and just go right in that same slot. Just carefully so I don't go past where it needs to be. And just make sure that I'm all the way through. Yep. Make sure that still wants to go in there. Yep, that works. And I think I will round these corners just to give it a little bit of a different flair, and the corners would likely end up getting dinged up if I don't, so I think it's a good idea to do them. Now that's not going to work for me, so I'll have to trace. That might be okay. That's not rounded. Yeah, that's okay that that's not rounded. I could do it by hand, but I generally don't do a great job of it when I do that. A little rub down because that was starting to kind of curl. And if I was going to mass make these, I'd probably do this part and let them sit overnight so that that was good and flat and crispy, hardened. But we'll just continue on here. I've got my 10 little pages. Now these were cut for the other books, so they're too long, but they're good width. So I'm just going to cut it off just below this second row of dots here. And these are just pages out of notebooks from Dollarama. My son likes the dot paper, so I had bought a bunch of them, and I gave him some for Christmas last year. And I had kind of saved some back for this year. And you know what? That paper is the dots right in the center of it. I'm going to save those. I don't know what for yet, but they're just so, they might even just end up being something to cover up a staple or something, but just so cute. And I've got a little dish of tiny samples or scraps there, so I'll put it with that. And so now this should fit better. Yeah, that fits nicely in there. And I mean, this could be just a pocket too. If I didn't glue that all the way down, that could have been a pocket. So maybe in the next one, I'll make that a pocket. And then I'll do my paper clip trick for lining up the holes. First, I want to make sure I'm right side up. Make sure I'm lined up. And clamp it. That clamp's probably overkill. I'm going to put my paper clip up here and do my 2 holes. Oh my goodness. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do it on the book first. That's a lot to go through. And then put my sheets on. And clamp it. I should be able to make it through 10 sheets. I've been able to in the past. It does depend on the thickness of the paper. And if I had to do 100 of them in a day, it would probably kill my hand at the end of the day, but just doing a few at a time, I can do it. I need to get one of those crocodiles. I think they do punching holes too, and it seems like from the look of them, that they would make it an easy squeeze, like spring assisted or something. I'm not sure. If you know about the crocodile, tell me how that works. And then, can I get that paper that I threw out? No, that one won't give me hope. I'm thinking about whether I could get the hole protectors out of this offcut, but I don't think I can. My 5/8 punch. I can maybe get, no, it's not quite. It's giving me flat edges, see? Now that might be okay because I'm pretty close to the edge here. That might be all right. But in any case, I'm only getting one. Get another one here. I'd prefer it if I could get at least one rounded bottom edge. That'll do it. And just the square edge at the top. Like that. And then on the back side, can I get one more somewhere? I mean, I guess I could use white ones on the back too because it's a Starry Night thing. I've got some pre-made, just stick-on ones, so I'll use those on the back just to simplify my life a little bit. You know what? Even these ones aren't perfect. They're made in a factory. So there you go. And these ones that were round on the bottom. And I didn't use my tweezers. Some of you will be yelling at me through the screen. Judy, use your tweezers. I think in between videos I'll refill this glue bottle too. I found out the other day what people were talking about when they were talking about the 3-in-1 glue doing a little volcano action on them. I was using the 3-in-1 glue right out of the bottle. And warm day, look at what happened. It did that little eruption and spilled out the top. I don't know why it does that. I gotta get some more of that stuff too. And then for string or ribbon on these, what have I got? Should be either white or red, could be teal. I've got some cord here that might work. It's kind of close to the color of that house. You're not going to see it on the front, you're just going to see it on the back and on the inside. So since it's there, let's use it. And I probably can double it up. I think that will work. And I'll have it so that the bow is on the inside. When you open up the little book, you'll see the bow in there, or the not necessarily a bow, but the knot. And tie it tight, but don't buckle the papers. Come on. I'm just going to tie that down, hold it with my thumb, and then squeeze real quick. It gives it, it still loosens up a little bit, but it's snug. It's snug on there. And then I'm going to snip that off about there. These scissors are just about to be retired. Not very sharp anymore. And then, of course, the clamp can come off. And I don't think this needs any antiquing. I know that not used to me saying that, but it probably doesn't. A nice little notebook. And I'll sign it here. And if you're worried about the knots coming undone, you can put a dab of glue, but I'm not really worried about it. What I like about these little notebooks is that the paper, once you use it up, it's easy to replace it. You might need a new string if you have to cut the string to get it off, but you can just cut some new papers to size. You'll be giving up the reinforcers unless you peel them off and save them, but yeah, you can just refill these little notebooks if you want to keep one in your purse or whatever. The only thing that I also might do on these is, no, I can't. I was going to say round the corners, but I'd have to round the corners on the paper inside too. So that's done. Let's do a green one just to satisfy the traditional Christmas colors people. And I've got one here that doesn't have any, oh, that one's just got a slight rip, but I've got a lot of these ones. Kimberly likes green, so she had a lot of green crackers at the table. So there's a good one. And that one's torn on the other end. That one's got a bit of a... Oh, this one is a different pattern with the red at the top. I didn't notice that. Or if I did, I'd forgotten about it. So let's use that one. It's in really good shape. And then maybe these other ones can be tags. We'll just do 2 for this video. I think we're probably, well, we're 17 minutes now, so that's not too bad. That can go in my snippets. Okay, so as I said, I'm not real precise. Yeah, that's where the tears are coming from on the inside. That's where the cracker thing was attached. So what I had done was I had just folded and tucked it in. Not really folded, just rolled and tucked it in. Doesn't want to go all the way in. And then I want it offset. So I want it about like that. And then you can take your bone folder or your scissors handles, if it's plastic, and just crease that down. If you were going to do a thicker signature in there, you could do a double fold so that you've got a bit of a spine too. So the top lines up really well, the bottom not so much. So I'm just going to trim it. I'm going to grab these Chinese shears that I have and see if they do a better job of getting that nice and straight. Those zebra scissors, I bought them as a novelty and I've been using them, but they're really getting dull. They weren't meant to last forever, I don't think. I think they're Fiskars. Nope, they're Scotch brand. They've just been used to death on everything. Not, sometimes you hear people saving one pair of scissors for fabric and one for paper and so on. I don't do that. I probably should. I will endeavor to do that. Okay, so I said I would try to do a pocket on this side instead of covering the whole thing. So I had lots of these that were torn. Let's find a torn one. And grab a little piece and I'll just, yeah, I did it so to reinforce that, didn't I? That off square. I'll just mark how wide it should be. And I'm going to leave a little border just like I did before. I can just barely see my fold line there. I'm going to go about here. I'm not giving you dimensions because your paper cracker things might be a different size than mine, so I'm just kind of eyeballing it so that there's a little bit of a border around on each side and top and bottom. And again, actually, yeah, I'll just take it right to the top, but I won't glue the top. That's what I'll do. The last one I just glued the whole back side of this piece. On this one, what I'll do, it's going to be hard to get that to do that now. It's just not doing it. Not cooperating. I've been using that punch for, well, at least 6 months now, maybe a little longer. And it does fail me from time to time. It was from Temu. Just looks like any other punch, but maybe I should run it through some tin foil. I've heard that that's a secret that you can do. So what I think I need to do is glue it on this side so that this is reinforced. So glue it over to about the middle of that tree, and then I'll glue down here and across here so that you can still put something in here. I think that's what I want to do. Make sure my glue book isn't sticky. Basically just going to run a strip down there with the glue stick. Sorry if I'm out of shot for that. I just put glue on the first thumb width down the side, and then I'm going to put 3-in-1. Actually, I'll put a strip of 3-in-1 down here. And then across and up, just making sure I was right side up. So easy to get things upside down when you're doing this, depending on how you turn your paper over. And actually, I probably should have done a little notch out of there just to indicate that it's a pocket. But what I'll do is I'll make a little tag that sticks out with a tab, so that you can see that there's something to pull out of there. It would be a good place for a little gift card, but a gift card would stick out too far, I think. And I'll let that dry before I try to stick anything in or out of it. And if it doesn't work out, I'll just glue it down. Not a biggie. Okay, so then 10 more pieces of this little paper. Actually, maybe I'll do a few more this time. I got some here that are half blank and half. I got 10 and 10. This one still has the little glue stuff from the pad along the top. Doesn't really matter, but I wouldn't mind removing it. gonna have to I'm going to have to separate them to punch them, but I'll get them cut to length here. I'll probably have to separate them for that too. I want it to be just above or just on this dotted line this time. And then I'll just take one of these sheets and put it underneath this other pile. Okay, so those are all right size now. I just have to decide, do I want them one on top of the other? Do I want them every other sheet to have the blank part? I don't want to put them in behind. Someone will think I was trying to get away with something. But I could do them every other sheet has a blank sheet. Looks more intentional. I find that kind of trick, those kinds of tricks, when you're upcycling, you kind of have to do stuff like that if you want it to look right, I guess. Is maybe not the word, but if you want to make do, you make it look intentional. Do that in kitchen design too, especially when people want to keep part of their old kitchen but add to it, or there's a piece of furniture in their house that they want to keep and use in their kitchen. We use little tricks to make it look intentional, not just out of place. Lots of tricks up my sleeve. So that's every other page has that half blank. And then I still want to do 10 at a time, so I'll just eyeball it and take about half of them. And I'm going to do my holes in my back of my booklet first on my cover. And I'm just kind of eyeballing center from here to here. And then I'll punch those holes. First batch of sheets in there and punch the holes from this side so I can see where the holes are, and put the rest of them in. Actually, I might want to do, I think I can do them all, get them all lined up again, get them back, lining up the holes of the sheets I already punched. And then I'll just throw a quick clamp on it just so I don't have to pay so much attention to where they are. Make sure they're sitting well in there, and they are. This would make a good naughty and nice list, or would make a good Christmas shopping list, like all the people you have to buy for and what you're thinking of getting them, and then you can check it off when you've got them. It's one of the ways you would use that, these little books. Now this has a nice bright red accent, so I'm going to use a bright red hole protector thingy. And I've got a few that are already punched, but I've got a few more blanks ready to go, so I'll use a couple of each. I have some green ones too, but they're not quite the right green. But the red is a smaller accent, so it's a good one to pull out, make it look all coordinated. Get some glue on this. I don't know that I've punched in far enough again. I did have that problem with the mini notebooks where I hadn't punched in far enough from the edge. They were sticking up just a little. Yeah, just a touch. I gotta learn to, I should make a little mark for myself on my hole punch that says you gotta be in this far to miss the edge of the page for these, because that's what I'm usually doing. Now this might just blend in on the back side. Maybe I should use white on the back again. That doesn't really jive very well. So I had a roll of these that I bought at the thrift store. They're just the little sticker ones. And I just cut them into little pairs, so 2 on a piece of backing paper, just to store them in the same box with the punched ones. For times like this when I need one, I don't really need to go hunting for them. And then I think green ribbon is in order here. So let's see if I have any. I might not. This might be a good time to think about doing the buffalo check too. Or, yeah, maybe. That looks cute. Just a small enough piece. I want to go from the outside in. See if I can get a bow out of this. Looks like I have just enough to make a bow. If my fingers will let me. Yep. So then I just pull it to where the bow's almost about to disappear again, and then tighten it up. And I think I'm even going to leave those tails kind of long. And then just so that it doesn't unravel easily, I'm going to stick this needle in underneath and do a little dab of glue. Do it again in underneath. You'll be able to get it undone if you want to, but it's not just going to come undone on you by mistake. So I think those turned out cute. Oh, I didn't recut my slit there. That's why that's not going in. Away from the gluey parts. And just follow that slit. Being careful not to go past. Feels like it's through now. Yep. There. So 2 little notebooks out of Christmas crackers wrappers. I did also save the tissue paper hats that came with a bunch of them. I think I've given most of them away in swaps, because I always try to give something in a swap that I think maybe the other person wouldn't have thought of using yet. Like, for instance, in a swap, someone sent me 2 Band-Aids, and they had little cute designs on them. I thought, oh, that Band-Aids, that's not on my list of things to save. But you can save interesting little things like that to use for your paper crafting. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope that'll inspire you to save some of your garbage and recycling this Christmas and do something with it instead of just sending it off to the landfill or the recycling center. And you can make up little cute gifts for next year. So like, comment, share, subscribe, but most of all, have a great Christmas in July.